Dr. Firestein has some really awesome books on Amazon. I would definitely recommend that you check it out. But one of them, which I find really interesting, is called Why Didn't I Think of That? So, Roger, could you tell me a little bit more about that concept? Why didn't I think of that?
Well, Why Didn't I Think of That was my first book, and I'll tell you the story about how I wrote it in just a second. Why Didn't I Think of That is designed to be an airplane book, or some of my friends use it as a bathroom book. All right. Basically, some of my friends say, I have your back book in my bathroom, and I take that as a compliment. All right. Basically, it's a book that you can read in one setting. It's 53 pages, and it gives you 10 tips on how to become more creative, from generating ideas, from creating creative questions, from evaluating ideas, from capturing ideas when they occur to you almost for free. And we use a fable setting for that. And the fable setting is the big black and white company and the color company. Now, the model of the big black and white company is we are the big black and white company, where we honor the style. Let me just read this directly here to you, because it really kind of, here we are. These are the sign over the gate of the big black and white company. And the big black and white company makes black and white. Okay. We are the big black and white company where everything is either black or white. We maintain the time-honored tradition of doing things the way we have always done them before, right? So the story is the story of the big black and white company. And then this other company comes on the scene called the color company. And at first, the big black and white company goes, well, they're no competition at all. We don't need to worry about them. And then all of a sudden, the color company starts coming in and taking over their market share. And so that's kind of the allegory that we use. And so there's the senior idea forager, of the big black and white company is a character named James, and he is set out to find why the color company is so successful. And then he has to come back and report to the big black and white company. We have some characters in there. One of the vice presidents in the big black and white company is the vice president of black, or the vice president of white, I kind of forget, or the vice president of contrast. He's also known as the idea ogre. All right. And so whenever anyone comes to the idea ogre with an idea, he tells them why it won't work. Well, James goes to see the color company, meets the color director, and he talks about why an idea will work. And so, like I said, it gives you 10 pages to help you become deliberately more creative. It's 53 pages. It's been translated, I think, into 4 languages now. It's in its 4th printing, and people love it. The story of how this was written was, I was finishing up my doctoral work back in 1986 when dinosaurs roamed the earth. And I was visiting a friend in Washington, D.C. Now, Megan, I always carry a little pocket tape recorder around with me. I don't have to do that anymore because I have my smartphone, all right?
Love it.
And I was exhausted and, mentally drained. And so went out, had dinner, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, the book just came to me. And I had to get up and dictated it into this pocket tape recorder. The characters were there. The plot was there. The names of the characters. The next morning, we had to go out and get another one of these little tapes because I ran out of the tape on it. When I came back to Buffalo, I started writing it up. And then it sat for a few months until I finished up my dissertation and then defended. And then essentially it wrote itself. And so one of the things that I talk about as far as creativity is concerned is to make sure and capture those ideas whenever and wherever they occur to you. And they oftentimes, or most of the time, happen when you're not paying attention to it, when you're not looking for an idea, when you're driving or taking a shower or falling asleep or taking a walk. That's when those ideas surface. So one of the things just to keep in mind is your event planners are planning events is that some of the best ideas for the events that they're going to get are not while they're in the office, not while they're in the conference room. It's out while they're walking their dog, while they're driving, and make sure to capture those ideas whenever they occur. So that's one of a few tips on event planners and how can become a little bit more innovative. But there might be some more.
Awesome. I think that's something that we can all kind of learn more how to do. All of us want to become more creative, especially our event planners. They want to do something different. They want to do something unexpected. So that's a really great segue into my next question for you. I was wondering if you had 1 to 3 tips that you could share with me about how event planners can become more innovative in their jobs.
I thought you'd never ask. Absolutely. Okay. So the first thing to do, and I've found this is across all businesses, first figure out what the problem is that you want to solve. All right. So before you start running off to take action on something, pause for like a minute or two and ask the question, what's the problem we're trying to solve here? Right? because so oftentimes people jump into action. And the latest book, Solve the
Mm.
Real Problem, we talk about the value of just taking a few minutes to figure out what the real problem is that you want to solve. And as a result, the ideas get much, much better. Also, language has a lot to do with that. So, for example, there's a big difference between saying we don't have enough money or it's too expensive, as opposed to how to raise the money or how to reduce the cost. Those
Mm.
first two questions open your mind up to thinking about ideas. So as event planners, you're always under budget constraints. You're always under constraints because that's what you do. So instead of saying we don't have enough money for doing this particular event, how to raise the money, or how to modify the event, or how to make the event more relevant, or how to get other people involved in that. And by stating questions that way, your mind begins to search out ideas in whole other areas for that. So that's one thing. Once you figure out what the problem is you want to solve, then generate ideas for solving it. But don't judge your ideas while you're generating them. Just get them out first, okay? Don't evaluate them. Oftentimes people will come up with an idea and judge it, come up with an idea and judge it. No, 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 no. That's kind of like trying to drive a car with your foot on the gas and on the brake at the same time. You don't
Right.
go very far. It's not very fun, and the car doesn't like it, all right? So don't judge your ideas. Just get them out there first. Next to that, the third thing is to set an idea quota when you're generating ideas. And we found that set a quota about 30 to 35 ideas. Now, that might sound like a lot, but if you're not judging those ideas, they're going to come pretty fast. Then when we analyzed those ideas, we found it went into three categories.
Mm.
The first 8 to 10 ideas, or the first third, were the usual ideas, the ideas that people had thought of before, okay? The next third, people got a little goofier. They got a little crazier, right? The third from idea, let's say 25 to 35 or so, that's when the new ideas emerge. That's when the innovative ideas emerge. So the key learning around this is if you're generating 10 to 12 ideas and you think you're getting real creative, you're not. The creativity comes in the stretch. The innovation comes in the stretch. So stretch for those ideas. And then one more thing. If you find yourself getting stuck when you're generating ideas, creativity is making connections you might not have considered. For example, the first Nike sneaker was inspired by a waffle iron. Okay, boom. What does a waffle iron have to do with sneakers? If you take a look at the bottom of the sneaker, the idea for the sneaker bottom came from a waffle iron. There's a wonderful story about that. All right. So when you're working on something, if you get stuck, look around. You know, what ideas to get for my clock over there, my books on my bookshelf, or this rock that I got dug up, or my lamp here, and make a connection with that. Or go outside and take a walk. Let nature give you some connections, because nature is a great connector for us. And the more you do this, the better you're going to get. So creativity also takes practice, but it doesn't take much because it's already in us.
I love the concept of really embracing those creative, out of the box ideas, because, if you're so quick to dismiss it, maybe you kind of lose an opportunity to do something really cool or really inventive or really unexpected for your attendees.
Absolutely. And not dismissing the idea builds other ideas. So you build on an idea, build on an idea, build on an idea. And look, many of those ideas are going to be throwaways. We like to use the analogy that in Creating a Flash, we use the analogy of a wedding photographer. And my daughter got married recently. I asked the photographer, how many pictures did you take? She goes, about 3,000. Well, my daughter and son-in-law picked about like 100 or 80. That's less than 30. That's less than, the percentage is minuscule, all right? The rest of the pictures you just delete, okay? You don't have to use them. Well, ideas are the same way. Many of those ideas are not going to be working. They're going to be leads. They're going to be duds. But by not judging those ideas, setting a quota, you can easily come up with 30 ideas in 5 minutes. And then the ideas that you don't use, you just don't use, but they build to other ideas. So, yeah.
I think that would be a really great practice to do this week. So if you're stuck on something, try to generate, 20, 30 ideas, write them down, don't judge yourself, and let us know how it goes. Leave a comment below and we'll give you some feedback.